Is there any worse crime than a boring movie? Let's review the little things. The Little Things stars Denzel Washington, Jared Leto, Rami Malek, and is directed by John Lee Hancock. What's up, guys? Maybe HBO Max is not such a bad thing because they just saved me quite a bit of dough by not having to go out to the theaters to see The Little Things. I will say, when I saw the trailer for this, I was excited. I mean, just because of the star power. Danzel, Rami Malek, Jared Leto. Three of my favorite actors working today, and it's like three different generations of actors. And Danzel, right out the gate, it's impossible for him to turn in a bad performance, I think. And you're gonna get a good performance out of the guy in this, for sure, okay? I have a lot of problems with this movie, which we will get into. But of course, I'm gonna share some things I did like about the movie as well. But I think most of this is gonna be to the negative. Funny thing is, looking on IMDb, the plot synopsis: 2 cops track down a serial killer. That's it. And that's about as boring as it gets. The plot synopsis is even boring in this movie. But anyway, first off, my quick plot synopsis, just to give you a little bit more than 2 cops track down a serial killer. Denzel Washington plays Joe Deacon. He is a veteran cop, and he is pretty much on the way out. You know, it's like the stepping stone down from full-blown detective. He's working in this other town, and so they want him to come over to the big city where the new hotshot Joe Deacon, played by Rami Malek, is on the case. And they set this detective up to be this young, very intelligent, very astute, always on the prowl, hungry to look for the prey. Just a very good detective, very good cop, almost ahead of his years. And so I did like that right at the beginning. I'm like, oh, okay, this Jim Baxter, he's taking the place of Joe Deacon. And, you know, Joe Deacon, definitely some big shoes to fill. He's considered a legend of the force. But right away, they're setting up this Jim Baxter guy to be awesome, you know, a worthy replacement. And at first, Joe Deacon doesn't really want to get that involved with the case. He is pretty much retired, on his way out. But the guy's got some demons. And there was this unresolved case that he left. And some mistakes on the case, which are in the spoiler territory, which I won't go into, but it definitely affected him. And this case, it's very similar to the current case Jim Baxter is doing. And so that sparks his interest. There's this scene where he goes across the street and he's looking at the crime scene, and he's kind of fixated on it, and just by how similar it is. So they end up getting on the tail of this guy, Albert Sparma, played by Jared Leto. He seems to be the prime suspect. And I will say, I think one of the best scenes in this movie is in the middle when they're in the interrogation room, because Jared Leto really knows how to work the room. He really dug into this character. Jared Leto's a physical type of actor. He likes to either gain weight or lose weight for a role. Funny enough, he didn't really gain weight for this role, but they tried to make him look fat. And you can tell that they got him fitted with this fat pillow in his midsection because the rest of his body still looks thin. He worked on this odd walk for the character, some facial differences with the nose, the brown eyes, all that. So in the end of the day, he's still trying to step into the character. But like I said, this scene is probably one of the best scenes because of just how much of a smartass he is. He really is kind of an asshole. He likes to toy with the cops. He has this presence of not being afraid whatsoever. And most people, when they're in an interrogation room, they're scared shitless. But for him, it seems like it's fun. And so for the rest of the movie, it's kind of a cat and mouse type deal. They're still tracking this guy, following him, and that's kind of the rest of the movie. You know, they have their finger pointed at the prime suspect. Is he going to be the killer, or is he not, or do we even care? Okay, first off, really the only thing I liked about this movie was the 2 performances. The performance of Danzel. There are some moments in here where, I mean, the guy can just bring up emotion better than any actor working out there. There's a few moments where he's thinking back on, you know, the previous case and really just his past. And, you know, Denzel can just sell everything with his facial expressions. And that's a great part of the movie. Jared Leto, I like what he did with this character. He was interesting. I was laughing quite a bit, but if I can take one left foot out of the pros and put the right foot in the cons, it's Jared Leto, because this is supposed to be a supposed serial killer. We don't know if he is or not, but he does have some really creepy things about him as a character once they get to his apartment. But at the end of the day, this is supposed to be the menace. You know, this very intelligent guy. He has to be intelligent because he's not afraid of the cops at all. I didn't have a chill down my spine at all. I really just found myself laughing at the character. This is a serial killer movie. And it's like they took a character from a different movie, maybe even a comedy, and put him in a serial killer movie. He's just very sarcastic in the movie, but when I want intelligent killers, think Hannibal Lecter. What Anthony Hopkins was able to pull off with that part. Very intelligent, always 2 steps ahead of everybody, but still scary as hell. Like, there were moments in Silence of the Lambs where just this chill completely went up your spine. I wanted that out of this movie. I didn't get that whatsoever. And that's not even like the big problem with the movie. That's probably the least of its problems, but it's still a problem. I love serial killer movies. I like these types of movies because they're more based on reality. Even if they are fiction, they're more relatable. They even mention like the Night Stalker in this movie, but this doesn't have a lot of the great fat that a lot of serial killer movies chew on. There's a crime scene at the beginning of the movie, but there's really no like stalking. There's very few like death and violence scenes whatsoever. Like I said, it's just like a crime scene, and it's really at the beginning of the movie. The rest of the movie is cat and mouse. I like my serial killer movies to get, you know, really gritty and down and dirty and just crawl up your skin. None of that in this. Also, Rami Malek, man, what a great actor. I love him in Mr. Robot. He owns that role. The first season of Mr. Robot is one of the best seasons of TV out there. His portrayal of Freddie Mercury is brilliant. Almost so good that you can't not see him as Freddie Mercury now. The problem with this role, he does a decent job acting. And they definitely set him up to be this awesome cop at the beginning of the movie. But then the third act of the movie, which by the way, it's gonna be hard for any third act this year to be as lame and as unsatisfying and unfulfilling as the last act in this movie. I was rolling my eyes like, are you serious? They make Jim Baxter's character to be a complete, I'm just gonna say moron by the last act. He is completely owned by Sparma. It's a situation where he shouldn't be owned. This is supposed to be like this seasoned detective, and this is like grade school type stuff. You know, his decision making in the last act just doesn't fit with who the character is in the first act of the movie. And I can tell if you're like really shaken up by something in the middle of the movie, but not really, none of that, you know? And just to really foot stomp this, guys, script writing. This is just a really bad story. It's really boring. And I could think of 10 different third acts that they could have tacked on this movie to make it a lot better. At least scary, at least chilling, at least interesting. And no, not at all. I was like, that's it? Are you serious? That's what you're giving us? You got Denzel Washington, Jared Leto, and Rami Malek, and that's the last act you're giving us? It made it through all those channels and they said, yeah, that's good. No. A lot of you guys have seen this already, so you know what I'm talking about. I won't spoil it just for those that haven't seen it, but if you watch this on HBO Max, consider yourself lucky that you didn't waste your money and go out to the theater for this piece of crap. I hate to call it a piece of crap, but it really felt like a piece of crap. The only thing I'm not knocking on is Danzel, or really, I guess, any of the actors, because it's the script's fault at the end of the day. It's a really bad script. And you know, Bob Clark once said, you give me a great script and you give me bad actors, and I can't give you a movie, but you give me great actors with a bad script and I can give you a good movie. And after seeing this movie, Bob might not be right because this was a bad movie with great actors. So I guess there's exceptions to the rule. De Niro couldn't have saved this shit. So I'm gonna give it 2 hours lost just because of Denzel's performance. Denzel's amazing. He is the only real interesting thing in this movie, I think. Jared Leto is just completely, I don't want to say miscast. His character is miscast for this movie, I guess. I couldn't like make heads or tails out of what his character was supposed to be in this movie. I mean, I know the answer to that. I'm dancing around without giving any spoilers, but I'll just say, wrong character for this movie. He wasn't chilling at all. Didn't feel like like a Buffalo Bill type character. Not saying that he has to be a Buffalo Bill, but most serial killers, there's something about them, there's an element to them that really just makes you feel dirty, you know? And makes you feel scared. So anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on the little things? Looking forward to hearing them. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do Free Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and Drumdum out.